We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday by the time you hear this. We are recording it Thursday night, and we have the good fortune to have Will with us out
Hi
of
guys.
Georgia. We got a lot of shit to talk about. There's some things in
Jeez.
your own home state, the CR and all this other stuff. Will, you're kind of a passionate guy, and you get a little worked up sometimes, and you're dealing with some things with health issues in your family. How's your blood pressure going these days?
My blood pressure's good. I'm just,
Good.
it's basically um it's more the family stuff's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can come with a plan. Everything around it, around us and in the world is not. But I mean, the best thing I would say about all this shit that's going on, look who's in charge and look how fucked up they are, and understand they move one step forward, but always two steps back.
Right.
And that's the only thing I think. One thing we'll have to acknowledge every time we see something weird shit going on. But I will say this straight up. First of all, to everyone in Minnesota and Minneapolis, you proved something that everyone thought that Martin Luther King and Gandhi were wrong about. Okay, probably
Hmm.
because, again, Mike, take this with the sentiment I'm going to say it in. Probably because those people were leading people of color. So
Yeah.
watching them, like, because if you look what they did in Minnesota and Minneapolis, peaceful protest, not engaging with violence, brought out the violence in the regime. Unfortunately, it caused the death of Renee Good and Alex Peretti. God rest their souls. If you look at the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, all of those people who insisted on peaceful protest showed the the evilness of Jim Crow in the South, what they
Right.
did to the protesters, people who were protesting, people who did nothing but stand there, who would not get off a bus, wouldn't do a counter seat counter, who were brutalized on the J. Pettis Bridge, people who died in the night in the South, the four girls that were blown up in that church. And what happened there? That so enraged or was so shameful. It even forced J. Edgar Hoover says, "Yeah, I got to do some of this KKK bullshit." And he wasn't a fan of King. He thought he was a commie.
Right.
So the point is, overall, is that everyone keeps saying that peaceful protest is bullshit. No, those you guys out there in negative degree fucking weather, walking and protesting, walking in the streets, have shown that ICE just doesn't like anyone making faces at him. See, it was easy in Los Angeles or in Portland because people think, yeah, well, they're assholes anyway, to be honest. But
Yeah.
Minnesota, Minneapolis, hey, you're supposed to be the good guys. What the hell? Well, you found out that people don't like you fucking with their neighbors. They don't
Yeah.
like you rolling through their neighborhoods and causing shit. And the thing about everyone's got to understand, there were no organized protests until I showed up.
Right.
I showed up, started shit from people just walking in the streets, and neighbors are going, "What the fuck?" And they started to take action. That's where you start to get organizations. No Scott Jennings, no one's paying anyone in Minneapolis. There are no
Well, that's such
paychecks.
a. When if someone said that to me, oh, they're paying protesters. How much you paying 70,000 protesters in the streets of Minneapolis? That's just fucking ridiculous,
To
and it's stupid, and it's a lame attempt. I would laugh at somebody who said that.
and it's like, and that's the thing they say. They say it every time they get on a mic. Pay protesters, pay protesters. Really, how much are you going to pay people to stand in 0 degree weather? I'm asking because
I
they
got
ain't
to.
doing it.
I got to tell you a story. There's a radio guy in Minneapolis. His name is Paul Allen, and
Oh
Paul
fuck! I
Allen
heard. Go ahead.
does a morning show, and he's also the Minnesota Vikings play-by-play guy. Now, this guy's been on this radio station for 30 years. I remember when he first started, he was a young guy. He called horse races and he started on the station, and he's been there ever since. In that time, he's gone through some things in his life, divorce and all that other shit, and then probably drugs and alcohol. I don't know that for sure, but possibly. And then he became a born again Christian. So he's now more right leaning. And he's a creepy motherfucker. And he was telling a one line joke and he was talking about something, and he mentioned paid protesters. And then he said something like he was talking about a couple teams or players, and he says, such and such took one, another one took one, and the protesters took one too. So he was making fun of everything that was going on and making jokes about it. And I think he thought he could just walk through that and do that. Well, it came down on him fucking hard. He's been off his job for a few days. I got to think the Minnesota Vikings aren't too happy with him. People are just coming after his shit. Um, I don't understand the arrogance of Trumplefucks where they just say stuff and they think they're going to get away with it, and then they don't, and they're surprised.
It's I don't. I mean, I heard what he said, and I'm thinking, you do know the majority of NFL players are people of color, right?
Right.
You remember a lot, and the thing about it is, there's no evidence to that. He totally just made a joke about, and this was before Alex Predis was, I keep messing up his last name.
Pretty.
Petty
Pretty.
was killed. Um, he did about Renee Good, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, what did he think he's funny? And but I think he thought, I mean, because evangelicals are not Christians.
Well, and I think
Okay.
they're better than everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
here's what he's got to understand. He's not stupid. He's broadcasting in a blue state, in a blue city, and he can't help himself. This is what I notice about Trumplefucks. They'll know
Yeah.
that I'm, maybe not the best guy to talk about politics with if you're a Republican, but they can't help themselves. They got to walk
No,
up and say some shit. Okay, you want to get your ass kicked? Come on up. And it's the same with this guy on the radio station. He had to know he was going to get kicked back, but apparently he thought he was better and smarter than
he
everybody
thought
and that
that
he was
30
more
years.
powerful.
He thought
Yeah.
30 years as the voice of the Vikings would save his ass. No, no, because it's not politics. Again, let's put this straight on. Okay, this is not about politics. It's about humanity and decency.
Yep.
Understand, ICE and immigration customer enforcement are civil. There's no legality for what they're doing. They are not a law enforcement agency, except when it comes to enforcing immigration laws. ICE was developed to find people who slipped through the cracks. What they've done, they've taken it to the next step. They're not supposed to do stop and ask. They're not supposed to do anything. They're not supposed to do non-warrant stuff. They do civil warrants, but but they need signed warrants for arrest. They were under that until they changed the rules with the Trump regime. Okay, until J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem said, "Hey, you can do whatever the fuck you want." Until Brett Kavanaugh went and said, "Yeah, Fourth Amendment, people of color, fuck them." Problem is, they extended to everybody. Every
Right.
time ICE rolls up on somebody, they are no longer. You are at the mercy of these guys because they don't think the Constitution applies when they ask anybody for their ID or arrest a protester violating the First Amendment. I had some asshole because the ICE was in Arizona, and ICE literally went through a whole row of bars and literally asked for everyone's ID and started arresting workers. They were asked for. They walked in with no warrant. No, they had a warrant, but they can get a civil warrant signed by another border patrol agent. There
Right.
was no reason. There was no probable fucking cause. It was a Friday night. People were drinking, and they went through all that. Okay, and I said they have no power or right to do that unless they were chasing someone, and then they better have a warrant. And I had some asshole come in my comments and go, "Well, cite the federal laws that say that doesn't true." Motherfucker, it's called the Constitution.
Right.
That's it. They violate our First Amendment, our Second Amendment now, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the 10th Amendment, because they keep telling Minnesota, we tell you what we're going to do on your state. They're violating states' rights every time they show up. So this is not a law enforcement agency. It's been developed to be a bully squad. And I've seen these everywhere. El Salvador had death squads. Every regime has these, and ICE has turned into a death squad. And these
Well, I'd say
guys are the lowest of the low they hired. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
at the very least, they're a goon squad, and that's what I always found interesting. The DHS announced that ICE is changing their policy where you don't need a court order to break into somebody's house and interrogate people and pull people out. Well, policies well and good, but as far as I know, policies don't override constitutional fucking amendments. You can say
Exactly.
whatever you want. The fact is, you're breaking the law unless you change the constitutional amendment, and they don't. I don't even know where they get off saying that or how they expect that's
Because
going to do any good.
because with the current climate, I mean, J.D. Vance, after Renee Good was murdered, he had his speech. No, it was before that. He was talking about ICE, and he gave them his blessing and said, "Look, they're going to be going house to house." The next day, they were busting down doors in Minnesota.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm like going, "You can't. Just what? What? No warrant." They said, "Yeah, we have a warrant, but it's signed by someone that's not a federal warrant." Understand this: when they're looking for an immigrant or illegal person or person that needs to be picked up because they got through the system, it's not a local judge. It's got to be a federal judge because this is a federal offense
right.
at that point. Most of the time, this is a civil thing that goes through the courts. And they twisted it so much that you got a 5-year-old in fucking Texas about to die in one of their concentration camps because they're not honoring the asylum that those people were under legally.
Yeah,
And no one says anything about that. Very rarely. That kid is sick and about to die. Liam Ramos. You all know who that is, but someone saw him. He is not in good shape. Why? Because they don't feed those people down there. They treat them less than like animals. I mean, it's ridiculous, and no one does anything about it because they won't let him into the facilities. I'm waiting for a state or someone to say fuck it. Show with National Guard or state troopers go in there and find out what's going on. These are crimes against. Let me make this clear to all you motherfuckers who think you're going to get away with this. These are listed now as crimes against humanity. They will be. You will be tried on a different set of rules once this is done. It won't be through the federal courts. It won't be the courts. It's going to be tribunals because that's the way we handle you people. And here's the thing. You may think you're going to get off. You're not. Everyone's waiting for this to end, and there you have a list. I know it. People are ready for you guys to go. I watch the most many. You guys scare me because you guys. I mean, there are guys with weapons even after the 2 murders, and you stand your fucking ground
yeah,
and talk shit to these people. And here's the thing: I know it gets through them because you hurt their feelings. The problem we have at ICE right now is that protesters shouldn't mean shit. They can scream and yell on you and protest. They're not attacking you. The lie that Tom Homan is telling you, the lie that Trump is telling you, the lie that Vance is telling you, Noam, that little Nazi Bovino who's now about to get his head rolled, all of them are saying that it's a riot. The protesters are violent. No, protesters are standing there making fun of you. The
right.
violence comes from your side, and then it becomes violent, but it's not them fighting, it's you abusing them. And they use that as an excuse. So homie can kiss my ass. I saw that fucking press conference.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean he's not much better. Okay, so Alex Preddy gets shot. Immediately they say he's a domestic terrorist. They
They're
lie.
still doing that.
They say he pulled a gun and the video from about 12 different angles shows that's not true. And obviously that caused an outrage with the protesters in Minneapolis. And we saw something with Donald Trump that we haven't seen before. Well, we've seen it before, but not in this circumstances. Um, the news, the media, the public opinion started going way against Donald Trump and the Republicans and ICE, especially when they watched this poor kid getting shot after he was disarmed, not while he was holding a gun. After he was disarmed, they shot him, murdered him on the street. Uh, so then Donald Trump thinks he has to kind of figure out a way to smooth this over. So he sends Bavino to California and he brings in Tom Homan. Now, Tom Homan is a fucking Timu Fred Flintstone. He was worse than Bavino before Bavino was even known. He thinks he's a tough guy. He's not a very bright man. Just listen to him talk, and he's going to come in here and smooth it over. But he's only going so far. They're saying, "Are you going to take these people out of here?" Well, we're negotiating with Minnesota. Negotiating on what, motherfucker?
I
You
know.
just almost destroyed uh, the entire Trump administration, and you're probably in the process of doing it now, and you're still going to double down on this. He's trying to play the nice guy. Well, if you ever watched Tom Homan before he came here, you realize he's a obnoxious, dumbass motherfucker, and he's not going to be any better. But Donald Trump actually believes that he can fire Bavino, do some changes, be a kinder and gentler guy. At least in that moment, and people just get over this shit. I will tell you this about Minnesota. They ain't getting over this shit. The rest of the country's not getting over this shit. You
No.
killed people. You kidnapped a child. And if that child dies in detention, if that child dies in detention, there's going to be holy hell to pay.
Yeah, it's. I listened to the speech, and it's like it was literally him saying, if you do what we want, everything will be fine. That's what he
Yeah.
said. That's the thing, and I'm thinking, going, well, I don't know. That's not the 10th Amendment. The state
No.
of Minnesota has their rights to do what they want in their state, and you're not chasing immigration. No, you're not. You guys are just running around rampant, just looking for people to pick up. I mean, these guys are so fucking dumb, and they are dumb and racist. They try to walk into the Ecuadorian consulate in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Well,
they try to walk in there and look for illegals. Honestly, to be honest, if that motherfucker had walked through the door in the Ecuadorian consulate and the Ecuadorians had a gun and shot him dead, you know what? Diplomatic immunity. He was violating Ecuadorian territory. He's dead. Nothing you can do about it. That's it. I
well,
mean, they're dumb.
the other issue you have too is that if you do that to the Ecuadorian consulate, um, then they're going to do it to us in Ecuador.
Yeah.
If you
I
go in and
mean, it
try to
was like,
kill them, they're going to drag us in and kill us too. It's just
and,
the whole thing is just stupid.
and DH, I mean, it was so bad. I mean, there was a filed protest to the embassy in, I think it's Quito. That's the capital there. Um, it's an international incident. And the thing about it is that DHS response was, well, the officer was he had a right to be there. No, he didn't. No
Under
fucking right
no
to step
terms.
under no
You
terms.
can't even you can't even justify that. It's
And the
just
thing,
I know that.
yeah, and it's so weird what's going on. For some reason, the United States military has kidnapped two Scottish natives. I don't know why. I think it's tied to the Venezuelan tanker or something. I keep looking for information, but the Scots are pissed. There are two of their people missing in American custody. They don't know why. And no one's saying anything to them. They're being ignored. I mean, and to top it all, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to point out how dumb Donald Trump is. Given the situation with Liam Ramos, who's in the detention center in Texas and who is currently sick, okay? If I'm Donald Trump, if I'm anybody in the administration, I get that kid out of there as fast as I can, get him the best medical care you can possibly get him, and hope to God he doesn't die. Because if that kid dies, there's going to be a fucking
I,
firestorm.
but they're not doing it. They're doubling
No,
down. They're keeping the kid there. There was no reason for him to be there anyway. And don't
no,
give
he
me the
was.
shit. Oh, he was going to be embarrassed. There were neighbors or other people going, "We'll take him." They're out. They're crazy. They think that they have the moral high ground on this. There is I guess a senator or congressman went to visit him. Kid don't look good. That was
No,
before they said he became sick. That child was 5, and they're treating him like a criminal. And no one is talking about these paid-for prisons that are run like concentration camps. You don't. They're
exactly.
not. It's in which I mean, which brings us to the debacle that's going on in Washington D.C. today. Okay, so House before the murder of Renee Good, and no, after the murder of Renee Good. No, was it before or after? I'm trying to think that House vote. No, it
I
was
think,
after. It
it
was
was after. I think it really got heated up after Preddy died. You
Freddie
know,
died.
because we're getting
So,
close to the continuing resolution. They want to
all
give
right.
more money to the DHS and ICE, and people are pushing back.
So,
First, it was the Democrats. Now it's Republicans too.
yeah, what? But the House bill, they broke it up and then they voted on House on the DHS. And Hakeem Jeffries, after Renee Good, told him no, don't. I'm not going to vote for it. But he didn't use his whip. That's why you have your second is called a whip because his job is or her job is to get with the votes and keep everyone on the same page. Not your
Right.
minority leader or if your majority, the speaker wants. Um, and so, and Hakeem Jeffries should know that because he was Nancy Pelosi's whip,
Right.
dumbass. And so he doesn't whip him, so he gets 7 Democrats to vote for this, and it ends up in the Senate, and everyone's going, "Okay, it's done." All right, Chuck Schumer's going to sign off because the Democrats don't want to feel like they're trying to defund law enforcement, and they're so afraid of shutting the government down. So look, the typical bubble bullshit, right? Then Alex Peretti gets executed in the street. All of a sudden, they grow a spine, supposedly.
Right.
Chuck Schumer has some kind of video telling says "fuck ICE." I saw that and I go, "Is that AI? It's got to be AI." Apparently, he said
Yeah.
it. Yeah, well, I said, don't believe him. So tonight, when they had the whole omnibus bill, they put it all together. John Thune didn't separate DHS, he put it all together and presented it. And not every Democrat voted for it, 7 Republicans voted against it because of DHS funding. All right, you got them over the barrel. You can shut this motherfucker down. You could get more concessions with ICE. No, 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 no. Chucky Schumer goes to Trump and makes a deal with Trump. Now, that's like making it. No, let me phrase this. I would rather make a deal with the devil than Trump. You know why? Because I signed a contract with my blood, and the devil will give me 7 years, and he doesn't renege
Yeah.
until it's time. And when it's time for my 7 years are up, he gets my soul. That's in a contract. He honors contracts and agreements. Donald
Donald
Trump
Trump
does
does
not.
not. No.
Does not. And so Chucky goes in there again. So remember the first shutdown, he took the shutdown down because, well, the real reason is because they were going to shut down the airlines just before Thanksgiving, and he got some pushback from his corporate brothers, and so they agreed to leave out the ACA. They were going to have a vote on the ACA subsidies. A vote. How did that go for us?
Yeah, it didn't go
Not
well.
a fucking thing. So what's going on is that they got John Thune with Trump's blessing to separate DHS from it's 6 bills now. 5 will fund the government, other things to September. That's the next fiscal year. DHS gets a 2-week continuing resolution to negotiate what they want to do. You're going to negotiate with Donald Trump. You're
Yeah.
going to trust him. And all they want, what do they want? They don't want to open detention centers. They don't want to tear down ICE. They don't want to get rid of ICE. They want to do the thing that Cory Booker said. The training and the body cams. What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay? And training and this and that. And I'm looking at these guys, and I know Chucky's going to be out there saying how great this is. It's only 2 weeks. Dude, they're going to keep extending it because you don't want to show. They keep wanting to extend it. It's a.
Well, let me ask you
So,
this.
where's your testicles?
Let me ask you this. If they didn't sign the CR by tomorrow or today, they would have shut the country down and everything would have been shut down. So now they're agreeing on basically keeping everything else normal, but they're putting to the side the DHS and the ICE funding for 2 weeks, which they'll discuss it again. Now, if they don't come to an agreement in that 2 week period, that's not going to shut down the country because they've already figured all that out. But does that essentially shut down any funding to DHS? Does it give the
I don't
Democrats
know.
that option?
I don't know. I really don't. They say that DHS has been funded already, so this was like extra money to keep it going. I mean, I funded the motherfucker to $18 billion to
Yeah.
create the fifth biggest army in the world. And so I don't know. It's again corporate Democrats afraid of their own fucking shadow, and he's going to try to sell that to us. People are not going to buy this. They're
No.
not buying this because they see what's going on. So what continues? The same atrocities we see now. The same things going to detention camps. The pickups of people here in Georgia and Noonan, Georgia. So when there's a video of people going to the fucking gas station, just pick them up
Right.
because they're brown. I mean, they're going to continue with this, and the abuses and the stop and frisk, the stop and take are going to keep continuing. Like Democrats literally just hand their balls to Donald Trump, and it's not all Democrats. Okay, it's specifically those in charge who live in a bubble that doesn't exist. I want someone to fucking ask Chuck Schumer, would your compromise, is it worth the lives of Renee Good and Alex Peretti? Fucking ask him that. They don't ask him that question. Those two, Renee Good died. Her last words said, hey, dude, I'm not mad at you. Alex Peretti died protecting another woman for the second time. Yeah, I saw the video of him fighting with ICE. He was protecting another person again. He doesn't take their shit. So when they did it again, he stood in front of that woman. And apparently someone said, oh, they recognized and decided they're going to teach him a lesson. Yeah, they
That
taught
could
him a
be.
lesson. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. Anyone who's an ICE agent, you are a worthless piece of shit and you're a coward. And if you're male, you're a pussy. You're a grade
I
A
agree.
pussy. And here's the thing. Alex Peretti is more man than you will ever be in your fucking lifetime. Fuck, I think he's more of a man than I am for what he did, because he looked death in the face and went out like a warrior. I
Yeah.
swear. I mean, he went out a warrior. If there's Valhalla, he's there with Odin. He's at the table because he fought for the right thing. These guys are fighting for evil. This has nothing to do with immigration. This is about intimidation to the population. This is about Stephen Miller getting his nut off. Donald Trump. They have a thing about cruelty. This is all that's about. There's no law. And every time I hear one of these Trump-fucks get on like a video and everything, say, yeah, but it's the law. No, it's not the law. Okay, if they're here illegally, that's an immigration civil issue. Going around chasing people of color is not the law. I saw Brian Taylor Cohen get on Piers Morgan, and there was a black guy who was a former ICE agent, and he was a total dick, kind of smirking when they're talking about the death of it. And he's trying to make a point about what immigration is and what ICE is, and he kept over talking him. And finally, Cohen told him, why don't you just shut the fuck up and let me tell you what's going on? The guy goes, oh, you want to, well, you going to get tough on me? And it was the guy from the Bulwark. Tim Miller was on the other side. He goes, what are you going to do? Kill him? Shoot him 10 times? That shut him up. See, that's the thing. These guys, it's about the cruelty. For Scott Jennings, it's about the cruelty. For Megyn Kelly, it's about the cruelty. Also, it's about why are you not agreeing with Donald Trump and what's going on? Isn't this what you voted for the mass deportations? No, we didn't vote for chaos in our streets. We did not. ICE shows up and there's chaos in the streets. No one's asked for that, but the
I
fucking
think one thing
police.
I think one thing we have to do I mean, we've got our hands full with ICE and Donald Trump and all the shit that's going on right now, and we've got other things we're going to talk about. But we need to start a campaign against Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Now, Chuck Schumer isn't up for reelection until 28, and Hakeem Jeffries is up for reelection in 2026. He's probably going to win easily. So we may not be able to put them out of their seats, but we got to put enough pressure to get them out of power. Because I think that
That's
changes the
it.
whole dynamic of Democrats and the perception of Democrats if we've got strong leaders as opposed to these weak ass, uh, money grubbing pieces of shit. And that's what Chuck
And
Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are.
yeah, they're money grubbing pieces of shit. And the thing about it is, they think that that's still going to be okay. What I'm seeing from a lot of people is like, okay, a lot of people don't listen to the far left because they'll burn everything down. They still think that they were right in 2024. Yeah, go ahead, keep that up. But what my strategy, and I think everyone's strategy is that when we talk about Democrats, someone brought up, I think it was in one of your lives, some idiot put up like Democrats are only pointing at 17% approval. Yeah, we don't approve of the certain DNC and the Democratic leadership at this point. Doesn't mean we're going to go vote fucking Republican. Let me make
No.
this clear. All right. I just, before we came on, I just got an email from the DNC asking for a $7 donation. Fuck you. Okay. DNC can shove it. What it is right now is that when it comes to your primaries, you have to look at the Democratic candidates and ask them, are you progressive? Do you want to abolish ICE? Are you looking for America? Are you going to compromise with the Republicans? And if their answer, if anything that is, I don't want to abolish ICE, I'm looking to get back health care for Americans and help for affordability and basically tax the rich. If the other answer is, well, we have to be partisan, you know who to vote for. Now, that being said, if the asshole gets the primary win and nomination, you still vote for the asshole because we can deal with him. We can't deal with Republicans. Here in Georgia, John Ossoff is up for re-election, and one of the candidates, you're going to love this. Remember Vince Dooley,
Yeah.
coach of
The
Georgia?
coach. Yeah.
Yeah. His son, Derek Dooley, is running for Senate here in the United States, here in Georgia. Derek was, I believe, coach of Tennessee or something. He has a losing record. He and his daddy. They're hoping that the name Dooley will bring everything up. What's his campaign? I'm running against John Ossoff's woke agenda. Motherfucker, we're not buying that shit here in Georgia. We've heard this before. Why do you think he beat David Perdue?
Yeah.
No. And that's the thing. I heard that and everyone's going, ooh, what's that mean? No, you're going to get rolled, dude. You have no idea what's coming. And that's the thing. Which brings us real quick to elections and what
Yeah. I
happened in
want to.
Fulton. Yeah, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
want to talk about this. I did a TikTok about it, and people have been hearing it in the media. And it is about Donald Trump sending the FBI to Fulton County's election headquarters, going in presumably to check on the 2020 elections because he swore he won and he didn't. And when they went in there, they pretty much looted the place and took a whole bunch of things. Now, as you're going to point out, there's a lot of people going, "Oh my God, they got everything. We're done. We're fried. It's over." And you have a little different take on that.
So here's what I mean for those that happened. We're going to back up 6 years. So we know that Joe Biden won Georgia by a little over 11,000 votes. We heard the fucking phone call. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. And the Brad and Brian Kemp certified that election. They went through that hand count, machine count. They counted it again after a lawsuit, and it was even more votes for Biden. It has been proven he lost that election. There was no hanky panky. Okay. But that's a thing that sticks in that dementia ridden craw of Donald Trump because he needs to be loved. Why doesn't
Yeah.
Georgia love me? I don't get it. I don't love. Well, I mean, he won the state in 24 to
Right.
my chagrin, but he didn't win it by much.
Right.
And the point is, it's a purple state. You lost, dude. All right, and you were. And here's the thing: this is so. Got to put it in perspective. They took the voting records and all the vote ballots from the 2020 election, so they can re-examine it, looking for fraud. Okay, good luck. There's nothing there. You could try it. Now, why did this all of a sudden happen? Okay, we're dealing with Minneapolis and Minnesota. Shit is flying everywhere. Okay, even Stephen Miller's head looks like he's out on the chopping block, which is surprising because they know
Yeah,
his
it is
head's out
surprising.
there. They know who else? Someone else's head is out there. Was Cash Patel. Cash
Yeah.
Patel's head out there. Okay, for what's going on in investigations. So, what's the best way to make Donald Trump love you again? Do something to scratch his ego. So all
Right.
of a sudden, the FBI get a warrant from a federal judge. Here's the thing: no one's seen the warrant. There's a warrant. We haven't heard what judge it is. Okay, no federal judge worth his salt is going to sign a warrant for that because it's already been adjudicated as done. We
Right.
don't know where that warrant came from. That's fishy. They're going to find out about that soon. But Cash Patel did this, and all the other people did that. They did that to give Donald Trump something to make him feel good about Cash Patel. And also, who showed up? Tulsi Gabbard. All of a sudden, she came out of nowhere. Why did she show up? Because they're going to go with this was a foreign conspiracy, like the Sidney Powell bullshit that has been gotten rid of. Okay.
Well, here's the
So,
irony of that. Here's the irony of that. They're going to look for foreign meddling. We know for a fact that Russia meddled in 2016 and 2020 to the benefit of Donald Trump. So they're going to look for meddling that was supposed to help Joe Biden. It's all about the projection, and it's stupid what they
yeah.
do. They know there was some meddling, so now they're going to try because it helped them, and now they're going to try to claim this and try to
And what?
get the voter
And here's the
rolls and
thing. And
stuff.
what? You can't change the facts. You can't change what happened. Okay. Now, everyone that I've seen, everybody, and that includes Hawk, everyone is saying that, okay, that's it. They
Yeah,
figured out a way how to fuck us out of the midterms. That's right. All that information in Georgia is going to fuck us out of the midterms. How?
yeah.
How? I mean, they tried to get it from Minnesota. Minnesota to go fuck themselves. They wanted the recent rolls. You got rolls that are 6 years old. Okay, I've moved. Everyone's moved. It's a different role. This and all it is. How? What's it going to do? Are you proving that what? That they can go and take it from every federal where? Where the warrant's going to come from? Because it's going to come from each state. I've never seen the amount of doomsaying I've seen in the last 24 hours. It's
Well,
over. Fuck
yeah,
it. What are you talking about?
the thing about it is they say stuff like, well, he's going to stop the elections. He's not going to stop the elections because he can't stop the elections. And because they're run by the state, if he stops any elections, it would be the red state. So cool. You don't want to vote? That's fine with me. And the same with the voter rolls and all this stuff. He went to Minnesota. Minnesota said, fuck yourself. He went to a few other states and he tried to pull this thing, and they said, fuck yourself. They've got no authority to take a
No, they
look at the
don't.
voter rolls. In fact, they're specifically prohibited from doing that by the law, and they have to deal with state law in that situation because elections are state issues. It's not a federal issue. He's trying, but when you talk about this going into Georgia, you're absolutely right. We got people trying to find ways to stay in good favor with Donald Trump. We have the Epstein files. So then he sends a bunch
Yeah.
of people into
Oh, Pam
Minnesota
Bondi.
because
I
it's,
forgot Pam Bondi too signed off because of DOJ, FBI. Yeah,
yeah.
she needed that because that ain't going well for her too.
But it's always a distraction, and it's kind of pitiful. You got Epstein. Now they go into Minnesota. Now they're going to take Greenland. Now they're going to go to Venezuela. Now they're going to go into Georgia. It's just a panic-ridden flailing that Donald Trump is
Yes,
in. We talked about this before when he first came into office. The way it goes with narcissists, they start to spin out of control. And then when they feel like they've got nowhere to go and no way out, then it starts getting ugly and it starts getting messy. And that's where we are right now. He's trying anything, he's trying everything, nothing's working, but he is desperate at this point. And Donald Trump is not doing well.
and the Republican Party's desperate too because they're fucked. There's been a
Yeah.
couple. There's that Colorado representative that replaced Liz Cheney tried to get a town hall, and all they kept screaming about what are you gonna do about ICE. She shut it down
Yeah.
because she's an ICE supporter. Tom Suozzi, who took over George Santos' district when he got fired or got arrested, um, voted for the seven. Was one of the seven that voted for it. He was in a synagogue trying to do a town hall, and people were coming up screaming at him about ICE. One was trying to read the nine names of the people who were killed in ICE custody, and Renee Good and um, Alex Peretti, and then another guy, Keith, colored guy in Portland that was murdered too. That doesn't get the attention he should. Um, and he was escorted out because they asked Swazi, "Do you support ICE? Do you support your vote?" And he said yes, standing up there, telling that as a Democrat. And instead of listening to the people, he has them escorted out. I mean, I watched a video, a live of Don Lemon with Rick Wilson, and they were talking about immigration. And Don Lemon was basically blowing up their arguments. And one of the arguments they have is that well, people weren't protesting when Obama was deporting so many people he did. And he goes, "Oh, really?" And he brought receipts. He showed videos of the protest.
Right.
People protested in the streets, and then they showed President Obama at a speech getting interrupted, getting yelled at. And someone moved to stop him, and he goes, "No, no, 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 no. Let him speak. We're going to have a discussion." That man de-escalated that entire crowd in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And he spoke to him respectfully, and he said, "Let me make this clear. I'm president of the United States, but I can't." This is what the man said. "I can't just wave my hand and let anything go. I have to follow the law." And he explained it so intelligently and calmly that the guy who was yelling behind him started to nod.
Well,
Okay, it's in the video.
the thing about it is with Barack Obama and Biden both deported more people than Donald Trump ever has.
Legally.
And that's my point. It was legally. He didn't violate the Constitution. He didn't kick in doors. He didn't arrest children and send them to detention camps. They didn't kill people in the streets. I mean, they're not even killing immigrants. They're killing citizens,
Yes.
white people of all things. So they've proven that they don't really care. I saw a video where Bavino was talking to his people. He said, "I heard it from the top that if they touch us, we can touch them all we want." And I'm going, wow, that's pretty telling
Prophetic.
to allow to be on videotape. Now Bavino's off off
Well, there's a
in El Centro doing whatever the fuck he's going to
yeah,
retire.
there's a
I'm
video.
looking forward to him walking the streets of some town in California on his own without the protection of the federal government. He's not
Yeah,
going to be well received.
and I mean, but you got to understand these guys still have the same attitude that days after Peretti was murdered, ICE came out because people were literally standing in front of a hotel, yelling and screaming. They came out and started, pounding on him,
Yeah.
started throwing tear gas and all that. There's a real good viral video of a guy in Minnesota was yelling at an ICE agent, and the ICE agent told him, goes, "Don't raise your voice." He goes, "You don't want me to raise my voice?" And he goes, "Yeah, if you raise your voice, He goes, "You raise your voice, I erase your voice." These guys are the lowest of the fucking low, and they have no training. They are white supremacists. You see these guys with the SS tats and all that, and you fucking want to compromise on this Democratic leadership. Fuck me.
And the guy who said that, and the ICE agent who said, if you raise your voice, I'll erase your voice. Very clever. I don't know, even know what he thought he meant by that. But he was a Hispanic guy.
Yes, with an accent.
I think he was from
With an
Puerto Rico.
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? I mean, you're not. Look, my dad was 5'3", okay? And a good man. Not a great man, but a good man. But I'll tell you one thing. I saw that guy. He was a fat fuck, maybe 6 feet too. My dad would have fucking kicked your ass in a minute. Puerto Rican, my ass. My
Yeah.
dad would have kicked your ass if you talk shit like that to him. And I've seen him do it. I saw him do it. The point being is that they're so small dick energy, worthless human beings, is that's the only thing they get off on. Remember what they said after Peretti? It's not only the clapping. Did you see the video where they're going, "Oh, that was cool, man. It's just like Call of Duty." The
Yeah.
fuck? You just murdered a man. He's
Yeah.
dead in the street. This is ridiculous.
Well,
And
you know what's telling about what's going on here in Minnesota. Obviously, people are showing up to protest in big numbers, and this has Donald Trump. This has ICE very nervous about it. They're realizing something we've said before. You can have 3,000 people out there or 1,500 military troops uh, creating the Insurrection Act, but if you got 75,000 people coming at you, there ain't much you can do. You can't control that situation no matter what. So I'm not worried about the Insurrection Act. But
I'm
when
not.
you
And
talk to,
I heard that coming back up again. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, when you
Go ahead.
talk
I'm
to
sorry.
people in this town, and I've talked to a lot of people about it, um, everybody I talk to is upset in a different way. Some people are scared. Some people are just fucking pissed. Some people are stressing out about it. This is having an impact on everybody in this state, whether you knew somebody who was hurt or taken away or don't. People are really upset about this situation. So much so, I was in a restaurant a couple days ago, and I think I told the story on the podcast before. Call me redundant, but my fucking show. I'll do it again if I want to.
Yeah.
But we were in this restaurant. I was with my wife and another woman who's a friend of ours, and we're just sitting there. We're on the east side of town on an eastern suburb, and we're sitting there, and the woman we're with looks over and sees five guys at a table, five big young guys, all sitting together. She goes, "I bet they're ICE." I go, "Maybe. I doubt it." And then I started thinking about it. There are hotels real nearby there. And
Mhm.
when we walked out, I mean, I don't know if these five guys are old college buddies or whatever the fuck they are, but when we walked outside, all five guys got in a big black pickup truck and it had Texas plates on it. They were definitely ICE. But the thing about it is, my wife and this woman, they wanted to kick their ass. They wanted to get pictures and expose them. And I said, honey, you really can't do that. It's better not to wade into that because if they're not ICE, then you got defamation and who knows what they're going to do to you. Clearly, they don't think twice about shooting somebody in the back. So you probably don't want to wade into that. Three people in their mid 60s. We're not going to fare well in that situation. So just
I mean,
hold your
if your
tongue.
wife was, yeah, I mean, it's just, I just thought of an idea that some people, if you see ice like all that, and you come up to them, "Hey, can I have your autograph? I'm a big fan. What do you
Yeah.
do?"
Well, you
And
know what? You know
you
what's
know
funny though?
they'll fall for it.
Well, you know what's funny though? This is what pissed me off. Uh, they got me looking at these people, so I kept looking over at the table, and they obviously come into this place frequently because the people behind the counters and stuff kind of knew him. But there was one guy who was eating there who walked by, tapped one on the shoulder, shook his hand, and patted him on the back.
Yep, there
I
you
said,
are.
I should follow that little motherfucker out there and beat
Yep.
his ass just for being in favor of this bullshit.
And that's the thing. There are a lot of people who are still just so down with it, who
Oh
think
yeah.
that ice is saving us from whatever. I mean, that's just inherit racism. A lot of them are young. A good majority are older Americans in that boomer range who have decided to give up. And the irony of it is that if you're a boomer, you remember Kent State,
Yeah.
you remember Vietnam. And if you're supporting this shit and we're supporting it then, go fuck yourself. And that's the thing. People change. I don't get it. I mean, I'm 64 now. I never changed. My view of the world has never changed. It never. I mean, it's changed.
But
Let me put it this way: fairness, empathy, knowing what's right and wrong, not buying into bullshit. It's always been my life. But I don't get these people who started on that side and gravitated over to the other really hardcore.
well, if
It's
anything,
weird.
if anything for me, I'm probably more liberal minded and more caring about other people than I was when I was in my 20s. It was a different
Right.
era. It was the 80s, the me decade, and all that. But I become more liberal. And I think it has a lot to do with having kids and having grandkids, because now you got to think about their futures and all that stuff. But I think when we're talking about the hippies and the people who fought against the Vietnam War and everything else, they were young, they didn't have much. And when they got older and got more things, money and property and toys, they came more to that feeling that this is my shit, don't touch my shit.
Oh
And
crap.
they're just greedy fuckers that are terrified that somebody's going to take their shit. And because of that, this is why they follow some dumbass like Donald Trump the way they
Who
do.
doesn't give a fuck about them?
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, and the
absolutely.
poorest of the poorest of the poor. You saw that speech in Iowa. Let's talk. The next thing we have to really address: the economy's fucked up.
Yeah,
Okay, Amazon laid off 16,000 people. UPS announced today they're laying off 60,000 people.
right.
There was a report on the trade deficit. You know, the thing that tariffs are supposed to fix from October to November, the trade deficit went up 95.6%. He nearly doubled the fucking trade deficit. We are importing goods, but no one's buying our goods overseas. Why? Because of tariffs. All right.
Right.
I watched him in Iowa saying how much he helped the farmers. Farmers love him. A lot of them still do. I just don't know where you're going to sell your crops. How you doing?
Do you
I
have to
mean,
lose your farm and be broke before you realize you got fucked? I don't know. I know what you're saying. I'm seeing farmers out there that are saying, I still support Donald Trump. I read a text on a thing I just did where a guy was in his backyard. A woman walks up to him from the neighbor and says, no, she's a Trump humper. And she says, I want you to know I don't agree with what's going on with ICE. And he said, okay, would you vote for Donald Trump today? As opposed to on the 20 November 5th. She says, "Oh yeah, I'd still vote for him." They don't learn anything.
they don't.
They're against ICE, but the only reason ICE is doing what they're doing is at the behest of Donald fucking Trump.
Yeah.
Are they that stupid, or are they just unwilling to see what's true? I don't get it.
I have, and here's the thing: we are not going to get it. I'm done. I'm done psychoanalyzing these assholes. I just want you
Yeah.
out of my. I basically, when this is done, you will be pariahs. We don't want to hear about it. You guys brought this on to us, but the economy is basically free falling. And you listen to him talk about it. It's he has no clue what's going on.
Do you
Literally,
think?
everything's great. It's more affordable. Did you hear him talk about job numbers? The reason
Yeah,
why
I
his
know.
job numbers are bad is because Biden, or is Biden, inflated his numbers with federal employees that he fired. See, all solved. The fuck is he talking about?
Well, and the
It's
thing about it is Donald Trump stood there, and what people have to understand, why was he given a speech in Iowa? He was given the speech in Iowa because he knows very well that the polls are showing badly for him with regards to the economy, that the economy is taking a shit. So he believes, as he's always believed, that he can go in and talk anybody into anything. So he goes into what he presumes is a red state and he starts telling people, oh, don't believe what's coming out of your pocketbooks. This is what's going on. And he thinks they're going to buy into that. Some people will buy into that because they're stupid and they'll end up homeless and still love Donald Trump. So there's not much you can do with those people. They're irredeemable. But Donald Trump is terrified about what's going on with the economy and the press he's getting and the polling he's getting. He became terrified with what was going on in Minneapolis. That's why he backed off of that. Donald Trump is getting pushback almost everywhere he goes, and that's the worst possible situation for any fucking bully.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like him, and Congress with Mike Johnson. Oh, by the way, quick note: there will be a shutdown. You know that, because even if the Democrats get this through and basically sell us again out, they still have to get back to the House to approve it, and the House is on vacation again and won't be back until maybe Monday.
Well, that's a good point. Not just so people understand, and just so I understand. Okay, the House sends them a bill. The Senate says, okay, we're going to change the bill. Now the Senate new adjusted bill has to go back to the House. They have to agree to it. And if they change it, then it goes back to the Senate and they have to agree with it. And if they change it, it goes back. So that's where we are, right? So it's
Yeah,
going to go
it's a
back to the
committee.
House. And the House has already said they're not going to vote for something that doesn't have DHS in it.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone look up. I'm just a bill from Schoolhouse Rock, and that'll explain how it goes because Mike Johnson needs it. And yeah, and now it gets even worse. I was reading the story in the Beast, Daily Beast. This is how bad it's getting. So if they bring it back, because again, they're going to approve the five bills for all the other budgets, but not DHS. That'll get to the House, and then the DHS funding, the CR has to be approved. That's a difference because they split up the bill. Here's where it gets dicey. A lot of Republicans are already fighting that, especially the hardcore ICE people. Some want to put in amendments, like one dumbass wants to put in the SAVE Act, the Voters Act that failed, that basically strips women of their voting rights because you got to make sure on your rolls. I don't know how the feds are going to do this, but your name has to match your birth certificate. Well, if you're a married woman, you're
Doesn't
kind
do
of
it.
screwed. And that failed. Well, they want to put that as an amendment in order to get the DHS funding, the CR done. You know that's not going to fly if it hits the Senate. It's going to be a fucking mess. It's the cats are not being herded, and Mike Johnson is hiding with literally having parties with Nicki Minaj. They do not govern. They don't give a fuck about us. Oh, by the way, through all this bullshit we've been talking, we haven't talked about Epstein because that's gone. But you know what else no one even brings up anymore? Fucking healthcare.
Right.
Where are the ACA subsidies? I thought they voted on that. Why is there not a vote in the Senate about it? It's gone. People are fucking don't have healthcare so they can't afford it. Now Trump came out with a plan. That's right. He's got a plan for y'all. Here's the plan. He's going to give you $2,000, $2,000 to buy any plan you want, and you're going to be fine. 2,000 fucking dollars. I have health care through my job. I have a maximum deductible for me and my wife of $9,000 that I have to meet before they cover everything. Other than that, it's 80/20. I have deductibles every time I buy drugs or go to see the doctor or see a specialist. I, right now, between the two of us, have about $10,000 in medical bills I got to pay. That's me with insurance that I pay every 2 weeks, $360.
Right.
So this man has no fucking idea how this shit works. And as one person, the money, the $18 billion they have spent with ICE would have covered ACA for a year, the subsidies. This is clueless, and he thinks this is the grand plan that everyone's going to save. $2,000 going to save everyone. You give me $2,000, I'm going to spend it on something else. Because by the way, that ain't going to help me.
Well,
It's
no, exactly.
ridiculous. We're ridiculous because he has no idea how the world works. You saw him in Davos. That man,
Yeah.
that was fucking embarrassing. Good thing that he wasn't expecting. Again, the thing about Trump, as you know, as I said, he expects everyone whenever he bulls his. Here's an example how Trump lives. The Bulwark did an interview, Tim Miller, with a gentleman who wrote an article, I think the Atlantic, about Trump's health. Okay, the article was, and forgive me, it's a different writer. If you look it up, I apologize, but the writer, he puts up the cover of it. I think it is the Atlantic, and the quote is the title of the article is "The Superhuman President," quote unquote. And he goes, and Tim Miller is doing the interview. He goes, "What does that mean?" He goes, "When he first got to the White House to talk about Trump's health, because there were questions about those damn bruises on the back of his hands and his medical condition, he ran into Nosferatu himself, Stephen Miller, who, in being a day vampire, is also one of Donald Trump's biggest sycophants." And he
Right.
brought up his health, and he said, you should put down, because the way Donald Trump is, I never see him stop working. He's 24/7. You should put that. He's the superhuman president. All righty. So they get into he's having an interview with doctors about Trump, but Trump's in the meeting with Karen Levitt and Marco Rubio and Stephen Miller. So he's going, okay. So they start asking questions. They're making excuses for his health. They asked about the MRI that he supposedly got. The doctor says, well, we did it because he was at Walter Reed for his physical. The machine was there. We thought, why not? Huh? That's not how you do MRIs and CT scans.
No.
Okay, it's not because, hey, it's there, let's take a look. No, we know that. Okay, another lie. Says it was fine. There's nothing. We looked at his abdomen. Really? Yeah, everything was great. So Trump, wanting to be Trump, asked, why don't you ask the doctors, being Trump, who is the healthiest president they've ever seen? Because one of the doctors was a doctor in the Obama administration.
Hmm.
And he asked him, who was healthier? Me? No, actually, he said third person, Trump or Obama. Okay, you and I are not doctors. We play these on social media. We know Barack Obama. Understand it. Barack Obama was president, what, 12 years ago? Am I
Yeah.
right? 12 years or so? We know he was one hell of a specimen of a man. I mean, he was an athlete. Okay.
Yeah.
So he asked the doctor who's healthier right now, Trump or Obama? And the doctor said, oh, yeah, Trump. Okay. And the writer goes, I don't get it. We know that's a lie. We all know that's a lie. But these guys get into Trump's orbit and become lesser men. They lose their sense of who they are and they agree to everything he says. There is something, I don't know, is it evil? What the fuck? But even educated men of science who know the truth just say, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say, boss. That's what he's used to. So when you get to Minneapolis, he was expecting you all to get on your knees and
Right.
kiss his ass. You all said, when he went to Europe and said, hey, I'm going to take grueling whether you like it or not. And they said, literally, especially one guy in Denmark said, fuck you. That ain't happening. And they put troops. As soon as the EU put troops in Greenland and called it an exercise, they flipped out. They didn't expect that. They expected Europe to be this cowering little thing. Uh-uh. They're not playing games with you anymore. Canada the same. And then we go ahead. I'm sorry.
Europe added a few other things though. They said we're just going to use the economic bazooka and cut you off completely, which would destroy the economy. We're probably going to sell all our treasury bonds. Oh, and we're going to close all the military
Yeah.
installments in Europe. Well, he
And
had
the
no
warning
choice but
shot
to give up.
when he was in Davos, that way they make the threat about the cutting all trade off was the economic bazooka and
Right.
the treasury bonds. The Danish sold $100 million of American treasury bonds out of the pension. And then 2 days later, the Swedes did the same. And that rocked the financial market
Right.
because they said, okay, let me show you what would happen if we just do this. And that's the thing. He don't get it. And so they had to back off and come up with, yeah, we had a compromise. So we can do anything we want in Greenland. We can put a base. Yeah, because you're native NATO, and they already told you that. But
You
that
already
was
have
your
a
save
base
your
there.
face. Yeah, it's either save your face bullshit. Greenland, and that's the thing. With Donald Trump in his life, he's never been told no. And he's been told no, he takes it very badly, violently. Ask a few women and
Yeah.
children, allegedly. Now, fuck no, we know there's proof. They haven't got the Epstein files. But this is what we're dealing with him right now is that Minneapolis told him go fuck himself. The economy is not going the way he wants. All his sycophants are telling him, yeah, Republicans are starting to break because they know they're fucked. So they're hanging on to the ideas that, okay, we know what he is. Maybe if we put him on the campaign trail, he can save us. Or maybe he'll figure out a way to get rid of the elections, but that's not going to happen.
You
Stop
can't do
doomsaying
that.
it's not going to happen. He's not. But that's the idea. That was a test run for the idea. Okay, if we get Trump out to sell the bullshit like he's done before, we'll be okay. I heard there was heckling at that Iowa um,
Yeah, somebody
thing.
booed him when he was talking about the economy and how great it was. They booed him, and he says, "Oh, these are just paid instigators." When most of those people were probably paid by Trump because there was only a couple hundred people there. It wasn't like it
Yeah,
was a
how
big
many were
crowd.
in there in that thing? I had no idea.
I, I talked to Eric yesterday, and he said there was probably a couple hundred people there, and some people started to heckle him because he was flat out lying. And he
Yeah,
said, "These are paid instigators. You guys are sickos." That's a good way to pull a crowd in, especially when you've got a small crowd like that. Donald Trump looks stupid when he's doing this, and and as I said before, he's trying all these things and he keeps losing. The polls are going against him. He's not as popular. The economy's going to shit. He's trying to gaslight people and make them believe that the economy's better than what they're experiencing. This is what Donald Trump or any other narcissist does when they're in this point where there's really no way out. They just start getting crazy and violent and do stupid shit. And that's bad news for the country because we're going to experience some shit like we are here in
yeah.
Minneapolis. The good news is we're getting that much closer to the end because the crash is coming.
And here's the thing too: other states and cities, people are going, "Oh yeah, we're ready." They're getting ready because they're watching what you guys did.
Right.
And here's the thing that Dr. Cornel West. Now everyone knows Cornel West. He pops up, tries to run for president, da da da.
Right.
But he is actually an intellectual. He's not Jill Stein. He's out there talking shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that his methods are good. They're not, and I think it costs him votes, but nothing like Jill Stein. But he was on the round table to do with CNN with Scott Jennings, and Scott Jennings was doing his, yeah, well, all we know is that those guys are paid agitators, blah 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 blah, and everyone's going whatever. And they asked Dr. West about what do you think's going on, and he came up with you got to find it because I tried looking for it again, saw it on a video, but he described what happened in Minnesota in a way that was crude that I can't repeat, but to break it down in ways that everyone can understand, he just looked at the camera to everyone who's white and goes, "Welcome to the party, pal." Basically, what he said in general was You all know now what happens when the police don't care about your skin color and only care about putting you in your place.
Right.
You all know now that by protesting, even though you're white, it doesn't matter to these guys. You're a target. They don't care. You are against the regime. It was easy when it was black and brown people because you can make excuses for that.
Yeah.
Your racism lets you do it. But now, since black people smartly have just said, hey, we're going to step out of this because we know what's going to happen if we step out, you see that. Not that people of color are not there, but they know better. If there were a majority of black out there, it would have been worse. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, it would have been worse. And what he's saying is now you all understand what we went go through. Whenever police or law enforcement kill one of us, they start making excuses and try to go after the victim. They're doing that for Alex Peretti now. They did it to Renee Good. They're investigating Renee Good's background and his her wife. They're going after Alex Peretti. The VA has told no one, don't have a memorial with him for him at the hospital. They told the hospital that. And the nurses, doctors are pissed because they want to have a memorial. And then he backed up and goes, okay, you can have one, but it's not sanctioned by the VA. You see, they now are, a lot of people figuring out and understand we're all in the same boat, guys. This isn't about race or immigration anymore. This is about power and
Yeah.
controlling us and what we do and what we think. And they keep thinking we're going to do it. Americans don't run like that, period.
No. And I'm hoping that other cities see what happened in Minnesota, see that what the protesters did here did work to a certain extent and push these people back. So now instead of saying, "Oh, we're all fucked and they'll just come in and do whatever they want," they've seen it work to an extent in Minnesota, and it's going to hopefully inspire other cities to do it. Like we've talked about Philadelphia. You don't have to inspire Philadelphia. You
No,
walk in there and talk some shit, you ain't walking out.
but anywhere. See, the point is that they're realizing is like, except for a exception, a few people, your neighbor's your neighbor, and you really care
Right.
about you're fine with your neighbor as long as they don't fuck with you. But you are
Right.
going to get upset when your neighbor starts getting dragged out of his house, and it's a lot of people don't like because they ask the people keep asking the question, what did they do? Where's your warrant? People know this, and here's the thing. One guy made a good comment. You're going to try to sell bullshit to people where one of the most popular shows is SVU and crime scene shows and crime shows that are really smart and intelligent. You're going to sell that bullshit to the American people. You're going to tell us after years of listening to people say, hey, we can't do that because you need a warrant. Judge has to
Right.
sign off on that. You don't have to be a lawyer not to understand that. That's why people say, where's your warrant? They're not lawyers. They know their rights. Why can't I talk to you like that? I'm not harming anything. They know their rights. They're violating our rights. And no longer becomes a question of, what, are they doing what the law said? No, you're not following the process. And then when they went to comply and die, then everyone goes, what are you talking about? They weren't doing anything wrong. And the rest of us who are color going, welcome to our world. And this
Right.
is not a disparaging point. What I'm saying to people of not of white people or being like going, hey, you got what you deserve. No, you understand now that people, a lot of once you get to the point of power, they don't care who you are as long as you capitulate, and that's what they want.
And that's
And
kind
you're
of a
not
that's a kind of a military attitude too, in the sense
exactly
that we're in the military, we're the badasses, everybody else is peons. We're saving their lives, but they're still beneath us. And that's the way. The only problem is people in the military are generally well trained and have some regulations. These motherfuckers have been handed guns and say, go out there and do your worst. And that's exactly what they're doing.
and
I'm surprised that that these these ICE agents, some of them haven't got shot and killed.
you know what the whole thing about Peretti and the weapon, he was legal. All of a sudden, MAGA doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. When did that fucking happen? I
Yeah, and
laugh
I
at
think,
that.
yeah, no, that's funny. If Donald Trump said if he had a gun on the streets of Minneapolis, he's a criminal. Other people have said, well, he shouldn't have brought a gun to a peaceful protest. That's not where you bring it. As I understand the Second Amendment, as it's understood by all the 2A freaks, you should be able to have a gun no matter where you are,
Yep.
whenever you are, doing whatever you're doing. And the fact of the matter is, the 2A people are going to be looking at this and they see the video. It's not like he pulled the gun. He never pulled the gun. He was murdered and shot 10 times after they disarmed him.
Well,
So
and then
the whole idea of a gun in his hand and he was illegal and he was menacing, it's all bullshit and it's clear in the video.
and since our media ain't gonna do shit about it, the BBC did this. They did a bit on yeah, well, about not bringing a gun. Oh, really? They started roll back 6 years to the COVID. Do you remember all those protests with people in guns and like the white supremacists in gear that look like basically like ICE agents now? Do
Or
you remember that
Charlottesville?
one time? Yeah, not only Charlottesville, all the protests around the country. Kyle Rittenhouse, enough
Yep.
said. Do you remember when armed people with AR-15s walked into the capital of Michigan, inside the Capitol with weapons for a protest? So take that and shove it up your ass. We know what you have done in the past. It doesn't work. And the thing you're pissed about is that you're thinking that all of a sudden people on the left finally discovered the Second Amendment. No, dude. Well, there are more guns in this country than people, and a lot of the people on the left have them. And if they're going to get, here's the thing, they went into Minnesota homes, but they're looking for weak targets. They're going to bang a house in another city that has Castle Doctrine on open carry, and they're going to get pellets. Something bad's going to happen. Understand, they don't want to go back to North Carolina. They found out
Yeah.
people were open carry to them, and one guy, I remember there's a video. One guy, he goes, when he got a conversation, the ICE agent goes, "Why do you have your weapon?" Because I can. Because, well, I have one. Yes, you do. And they just stood staring at each other. That's the thing. They they picked on Minnesota, hoping that you guys would do something like you did with the George Floyd riots or George Floyd protests. The riots were caused by far right. Remember that. There is no burning. There is no looting. There's no chaos. The only chaos is that whenever those chaos agents, they're called with the letters that mean immigration, customs, and enforcement. Understand, immigration, customs, and enforcement don't mean shit. That badge shouldn't mean shit on a Minneapolis street to make stops.
I drove by where just today, my wife and I drove by because my wife wanted to see it. Drove by where Alex was shot and murdered. There's a big memorial, a lot of flowers, and it's weird about the flowers. It's freezing cold here, but the flowers still look colorful and all that stuff. They haven't grayed or anything. They're still there. There are restaurants and stores bringing food to that location for people who need it. There
Mm-hmm.
are stores in the area that say you can come here to keep warm, you can do this, you can get free coffee. So there isn't any dissension amongst
No,
merchants and the people there. They're all working together to fight this shit.
there was there's a great video of a lady who runs a think Korean restaurant or home. No, she's Hmong, Vietnam, basically.
Hmong. Yeah.
Yeah, Hmong. Um, and it was during that time she opened the door and got everyone in because when the tear gas went, and got everyone in when all this happened and shut the door and then let everyone come in and to save them to basically give them a refuge. And people are coming back now to that restaurant because they consider her a hero. She wasn't scared. She didn't lock the door. She opened the door, said, "Get in, quick, quick, quick." Seen the video. And she's crying in the corner because I'm scared, but I'm not going to let you people out there. That woman is braver than any ICE agent ever. That's neighborhood. That's what community is. And that's what Trump and all the Trump folks don't get. They're not part of community. They're not. Understand,
No.
MAGA doesn't support one another. They're a bunch of this assholes who just wear a hat together. They are not a community. A city like Minneapolis is a community. LA has communities. Philadelphia has communities. Here in Atlanta and Georgia, we have communities. When push comes to shove, that's one person said getting pissed off when Democrats rolled over on the first one, worried about SNAP and all that, which they weren't. That was
Yeah.
a corporate decision. People were ready to give food. They had food banks ready. They were ready to stand up to help people. That's what the majority of Americans do and are. The problem is we let this minority in who doesn't give a fuck about anything and literally love watching people get tortured.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. And the thing about it is they think that's going to survive. It's not. The end is coming. And here's the thing. This is how petty Donald Trump is. And I saw this the other day. So we're talking about Fulton County. That's petty. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I really don't. Once they drop that in front of a real judge or try to get, that's not going to work
No.
because it's already been adjudicated. Guys, stop it. You can't stop it with getting old. No, can't do it. All right. And they're not going to use ICE to take voting machines. There's going to be problems if they try that. If he tries this, there's no elections, there will be civil war, straight up civil war. That
If they
happens.
try to take voting machines and try to disrupt elections, there is going to be fighting in the streets because
Yes.
at that point nobody has anything to lose, and there's
And
not enough of the ICE agents out there to compete with the tens of thousands
and
of
there
people that
and
will
there
be
was
after their ass.
and some of the doomsayers go, you see, they're going to use ICE to intimidate people in one ICE. They can't intimidate Minnesotans in fucking negative degree weather. Do you think if an ICE agent comes up to people, well, I don't think you should vote, they're going to go tell them to go fuck yourself and get out of the way, and there'll be a scuffle. They don't get it. The worst thing that ICE agents are realizing is they're not afraid of them anymore. They're not afraid. Let's put it this way. They're not afraid of the ICE agents. They're afraid for themselves what they're going to do. But they're
Right.
still going to stand their ground. People are standing their ground. Right after the Peretti murder, you would expect people to run, right? No, they showed up.
Yeah.
They went to the site. They confronted ICE agents to the point they had to bring out tear gas and stuff because literally, let's be honest, they fucking fear for their life. People
Well,
were pissed.
I was watching TV when it came out, and this wasn't an area where there was a bunch of people where this
No,
incident happened. Um, they said they were going
contrary, real
after
quick, contrary to what they say, there was no protest going on. You
no.
assholes caused that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, no, there was no protest. There was not that many people there. I was watching it on television, and like you say, these people didn't say, "Oh, they killed somebody. Let's run away." They ran to the motherfucker, and
Right.
they got tens of thousands of people there because they did this. And then that's been the breaking point for Donald Trump. Donald Trump's only strategy is bullying people, and the only way bullies win is if they scare you and you back off. We saw Europe not back off and push back. We've seen Minnesota not run away but push back. And so this is why Donald Trump is losing. His only strategy is no longer working.
And
His bully
protests
tactics aren't effective.
and protests are broken out all over the country. You don't see that because mass media is in his pocket.
Right.
Um, but they're all over. People are protesting. People are upset. They're mad. They don't like ICE. I've seen videos in LA. They're fighting ICE there. They're fighting ICE in Philadelphia, fighting ICE in Maine. ICE is not having a good time of it. They're
No,
not.
this isn't
Yes, they
fun.
are taking people. Yeah, they are kidnapping people and stuff, but their lives are miserable. And that's the thing. Trump's honestly, it's been compared to the Gestapo. Get it, but be honest. The Gestapo had more respect,
Right.
okay, than these guys. Because let's put it this way: they weren't kidding about the Aryan race. The Gestapo; those are well trained thugs. How they did their business. Hiring Bubba and his cousins for their that breed with one another because they can't get another job and they have anger issues who can't read past the 6th grade level. It's not a way to have a secret police. They don't work well. And that's what you're seeing. And that's why people, because you talk shit to them. And here's the thing, you know when you should be afraid of somebody. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. If you run across somebody, you know there's something there.
Like
Okay.
I'm terrified of my wife
Yeah, basically, same thing here.
for good reason, for good
Yeah.
reason.
But if an ice agent comes up that's going on, starts talking, you talk shit, they talk shit back. You notice people go, "Oh, you're nothing. You're
Yeah.
a punk," and they know it. They could feel it in their bones. People know it. All right. Going back to the example, Gestapo showed up. They weren't fucking around. You knew it. That's why they
Yeah.
spread fear. These guys don't spread fear; they spread chaos, and it's not
And
working for
anger.
them.
Well, yeah,
And
and
anger.
like I say, fear is the key to everything they're doing once people aren't afraid. And this was kind of a breaking point for them in Minneapolis. They thought they could walk
Yeah.
in, roll over the top of everybody, and everybody would just be on their knees begging for safety and all that stuff. And that's not what they got. So they go to the next town and they've got that hanging over their head. These people weren't afraid of us. Now we're going to go to another town, and the people in that town saw what Minnesota did, said, well, if they're not afraid of them, we're not fucking afraid of them. And they're going to get this every place they go. And if they go to Philadelphia, it's going to be worse.
But they've been to Chicago and got pushed back. They've been to
Yeah.
LA and got pushed back. They left Chicago because they couldn't do anything. Chicago was not happy with them. And then they decided, hey, we'll show up in North Carolina. They love us. No, no, North Carolina didn't want you. Now they're working like in Georgia here behind the scenes. Law enforcement is helping them. South Carolina stuff, Florida especially. We know that, but they're not
Right.
popular. They're protests breaking out in red states and red cities because they know it's wrong. Again, this is not a political question. This is a constitutional question. Do you not want your rights? And a quick note to Canadians. So Donald Trump got a little pissy because Mark Carney basically owned his lunch.
Yep.
First of all, his speech at Davos, and then basically trade with China. So there are some very conservative provinces. Ontario is one of them, and
Hmm.
another one's Alberta. Whoever the premier of Alberta turns out to be, Alberta is a woman who turns to be like MAGA light. She's doing the same things in Alberta that trying to do in the United States and causing problems. So she's getting into fights with the federal government because you can't do some of that stuff. So now there's a separatist movement. Scott Bassett was there talking about, hey, Alberta should join the United States. There was a separatist movement showed up in Washington looking for money and support. Okay. No, no. If I'm Canada, I go in there and I start stepping on that so quick because I'll
Yeah.
be honest, there probably isn't going to go anywhere. And we're not talking about Quebec because Quebec, that's a different culture, but they embraced their nationhood recently. They're not going to do their thing. Alberta is just basically it's kind of like Missouri on steroids. It's mostly agricultural, so you get a bunch of dumb country fucks, but they don't know how good they have it. They don't.
No,
You
go
really
ahead,
don't
come.
know how good you have it.
Go ahead, come here and see what great deals we can cut for you on health care since you're not paying for it in anyway. You
Yeah,
won't mind spending 2000 a month on health care, so come on over. You want
yeah.
to
I
pay
mean,
more taxes? Come on over. If you want to deal with people running off your employees, yeah, come on over.
I mean, it was such I read that thing. I'm going. It's probably not going to go anywhere, but the idea that Trump is actually fomenting and his fomenting this, trying to break apart Canada because he's pissy at Mark Carney is ridiculous. And basically, Mark Carney wouldn't be prime minister if it wasn't for Trump and his bullshit he talked. To be
Right,
honest, now
right.
the conservatives are going to win that election till you fucked it up, and you keep
Pretty
doing this.
much.
No, it ain't going to work. But I
No,
mean,
and it just
go
goes
ahead. I'm
back to
sorry.
what I've always said. Donald Trump always fucks it up. He's never successful at anything. He can
And
take something that looks like it's going to be a win and turn it into a fail in a matter of moments by just flapping his mouth.
so right now, um, so where are we at right now? So The Democrats are going to do their Democratic thing. I don't know. That's not going to bode well for those leadership. All right, do your thing.
No.
But if, like I said, Liam Ramos dies, you're going to look stupid.
Yeah.
ICE is going to keep doing their thing, but I think they'll have to be pulled back, whether they like it or not, because people are reacting to it. But Trump knows he's in trouble because he didn't take any questions on an executive order signing. They had the normal circle jerk for we'll call
Yeah.
it a cabinet meeting. Two things. One, about a third through, they threw the press out. Two, most of the time, the cabinet, the secretaries spend time just kissing Trump's ass as he calls on them. They didn't call him Kristi Noem.
No.
Stephen Miller was in the room. So they're in the doghouses right now, or the shit stone, or whatever they're going to do. And it seems like right now they're trying to regroup. What's the best way we can sell this? We need people to believe in us again.
But you
And
still
I
have
don't think,
failures all over the place.
yeah,
You can't make them believe if you keep failing. I tell you what, we're getting down toward the end, but there's one other thing I wanted to bring up as we're winding this down because this is yet another failure for Donald Trump and his billionaire buddy. You're a big movie guy. I like documentaries. Melania's movie, which Bezos handed $40 billion over or $40 million over to Donald Trump and Melania for this big movie. Spent $35 million on promotion. I think the premiere was today, Thursday, and absolute bust. They were selling one and two tickets in different theaters around the country. They had the premiere in UK, and apparently Melania is angry because Donald Trump fucked that up for her with the Minneapolis thing. Nobody's talking
no,
about this Melania movie. Well, besides the fact that it sucks.
it's, I did not know this was coming out. So my wife and I, was it Monday? No, it was Tuesday. She had an appointment. And so we went to get pizza. If anyone knows what Stevie B's is a pizza joint. So we're sitting waiting for the pizza joint. And I'm looking at the whatever on the screen, which is like Prime does some kind of like in-house programming that you can get. And all of a sudden, there's a trailer for this movie. And I'm watching it, and it was like watching a six-car wreck.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, I'm going, what the hell is this? Why is that? She's not even. And then she speaks. And I'm going, oh my God, really? This is what? What? And so it even without Donald Trump in Minneapolis, that was going to be an absolute collapse
Yeah.
because she is not an interesting subject. She has done nothing
No,
for
she's done
America,
nothing.
but she's done everything for herself. Period. I mean, honestly, she's the epitome of a gold digger.
Well, and
That
she
should have been the documentary.
Well, and they should have talked about the connection with Epstein and how it was that she came to this country and how it was that she brought her parents to this country and how her relationship with Donald Trump is. They don't sleep together. They don't even interact that much, only for the press on a rare occasion. But Donald Trump was handing this to Melania probably as some kind of peace offering or some kind of coercion that she's got on him. And it's absolutely a joke. I think the best part of this is Donald Trump and Melania are going to come out. They're going to look like absolute failures. Jeff Bezos basically lost 75, $80 million on this movie because he's not
You know
getting
what
his
he
money
calls?
back.
You know what he calls that? Tuesday.
A bribe.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't care. I mean if that lets him do what he wants, uh, he got that in the couch, and it also keeps him off his back, and makes her happy. I mean, again, the one thing I hate about the political climate, the Prime Video has some great shows on it. I'll watch them. I
Yeah,
mean, The Expanse, Fallout, they have some good programs. Same thing with Paramount Plus. It's just
yeah.
they're run by assholes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a tough thing in the sense of I enjoy the product. I hate who's producing it. But see, but they don't mess with that. They mess with stuff they shouldn't mess with
Right.
uh, socially. And the thing about it is, if you watch the movies, the majority of them, they're opposite of everything. There's no really propaganda film other than what you saw. And that's not even a propaganda film. That's just a vanity thing that no one's going to watch. There's no there's no inspiration there. If you're going to do a documentary with someone, there's got to be some kind of inspiration. Fuck, Michael Jordan's documentary about his last year with Chicago Bulls was inspirational and fun to watch. Although, let's face it, Michael Jordan is a big narcissist. Of course he is. He's a basketball player. But
Yeah.
that was interesting. She has no
Well, he
interest
did
in the.
something, though. Even if he's an
Yes,
asshole, he did something.
right.
Melania has done nothing but marry a big, dumb, rich guy that was semi famous before he became president.
I mean,
That's all she
they
ever
did
did.
yeah, we did a documentary on Tom Brady. It was like a multi-parter. It's fascinating to watch because you watch his prep.
Right.
You watch his prep, and it was like, this is a man who's dedicated to what he does and wants to do it great.
Right.
And so you, I mean, you could look at and the stories. Her story's not an inspiration. You know what's an inspirational story? I'm going to go geeky on everyone. If anyone's seen the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, you probably haven't. You probably haven't. But the music and everything, it's a great film, anime film. But the music's wonderful. It's a great music, but it's done by was written by a woman goes by the name of EJ, who was at 10 years old went to the Koreans when they have K-pop bands, they have like literally an academy. She's been doing
Right.
that since age 10. When she turned 18, 19, they tell her, you know what, your voice sucks. We're going to cut you. All right. So instead of ending up whatever, she turned into becoming to learning becoming a musician and a songwriter. Writes a lot of songs for K-pop bands. So she gets a chance to write for this movie, and she writes this whole soundtrack, which is amazing. Even if you're not a K-pop fan, the music is really great. And the song called Golden is probably it's one, so it's gonna win probably gonna win a Grammy. It's already run a Golden Globe. It's probably gonna win an Oscar. Okay, she and her two other singers that are part of this, who were rejected by the uh, Korean pop industry, got together and persevered. Okay, when she won the Golden Globe, and this is someone that people take inspiration because you could see it when she talks, and she talked about getting it and her rejection. And I never forget this. I love this speech because she goes, I stayed with it. I did this because I love it, but I'm glad, it brought me here. And she said, rejection is just redirection.
Yeah.
And I went, shit. And what that means is that that woman and those two other women that for this movie that's huge that a lot of people love, that is more inspirational than anything Melania Trump has done in her life because she worked for it, and we know how she got it, and that's embarrassing to all of us that we let this happen to us. America was always about a country that gave praise to people who worked their ass off. Was it
Yeah.
fair? No. Fairness has nothing to do with it. You get an opportunity. That's what we always fight for, opportunities.
Yeah.
And to watch Melania Trump not work her way through anything and expect people to go, this is me, love me. Hell no, lady. Same thing with your fucked up husband. He spent his whole life looking for love. He was able to con 30% of this fucking country to the rest of us. Every time we reject him, he goes, why don't you love me? I don't know, dude. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's
You're a
all you
piece of
need to
shit.
know.
You're a
Exactly.
piece of shit. All right. We're going to wrap things up for the Rational Boomer podcast. Thank you, Will, for coming on and
No
straightening
problem.
us some of this shit out. I learned
Uh,
some things as I normally do, so I appreciate that.
my pleasure, Mike. And again, guys, don't listen to the doomsayers. Take a deep breath whenever they come here. That if you listen to them, Everything that those people are doing in Minneapolis, and Renee Good, and the loss of Alex Peretti, you just basically pissing it away.
Yeah.
Be smart.
Yeah.
There's more of us
Absolutely.
still.
Absolutely. For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day. We will talk to you again tomorrow.